Now, we've done single variable analysis. Now let's explore the relationship between variables. Now, if we want a good movie, good game, what we typically are going to be focusing on is average user rating. So we can look at the relationship between size and user rating, the relationship between age rating and average user rating, and then the relationship between in-app purchases and game rating. So we're going to use Seaborn here. And then the first thing we're going to do is this first one, size and average user rating. So size and average user rating. So we look at this chart here. And one thing that comes out from this chart pretty clearly is that the smaller games, okay, are associated with poor ratings, or at least the games that have poor ratings tend to be quite a bit smaller than the games that have better ratings. And we can look into this further, and what we're going to do is we're just going to use some English words here. So if it's rated 1.5, 2, or 2.5, we're going to say that's poor. If it's 3.5, it's fair. If it's 4.5, it's good. And if it's 5, it's excellent. Okay? And then we're just going to create a new column that is going to have this rating. Okay? So let's run this and see how it looks like. So here is our new column, which is fair, and let's just double check to make sure. So this game is rated 3.5, and if we come up here, we'll see that 3.5 is fair. So we did it correctly. And so let's create now a box plot using the category rating. So here we have poor, fair, good, and excellent. Now, what it seems is that, once again, the poor ones are smaller, the fair ones are a little bit bigger, and then good is quite a bit bigger. Okay? Excellent, actually, interestingly, goes again and is smaller, but it's maybe about the same size as fair. Now, as we saw before, there's this distorting effect, which is that there are lots and lots of outliers. And so this useful information, the actual box, is in the bottom 10 or 20% of the chart. And so what we can do is we can exclude the very big games. And so we're going to exclude things that are above 600. And so we can do that by just selecting the smaller games. And so now when we run this, we get this box plot. Ooh, we get no box plot. This is interesting. So let's debug this together. That works here. And this does not work. At all. So let's look at games head. It's fair, poor. Let's look at size. So the problem is here. And when we had size, oh, interesting. We never ran this. Okay, so we need to run that. And now it works. Okay, so great example of debugging the code. So what happened there is that there was some code above that divided the size by 1,000,000, so that size was converted to megabytes. but I had forgotten to run that code, and so that's why it wasn't working. So I just want to be clear, right, that you're going to see bugs and things like that all of the time in your code, and you should have the ability to debug it. And so here we get a much clearer picture of the box plot. So here, again, poor is very small games, fair is higher, and then good is clearly the biggest, but excellent is also almost as great as good. So what we can conclude from this is that bigger games are more likely to be good and excellent. Okay, so now let's go on to our next question, which is age rating versus the categorical user rating now, as opposed to the numerical one that we started off with. So here we're going to do a crosstab, which is taking these two parameters and just showing us how many games are in each of those boxes. So for example, there are 483 games that are ranked fair and are age 12 plus. Now it's probably better to normalize this data and to get the probabilities. And so here we can see that, say, games that are for 17 plus, they're much more likely to be poor than games that are for 12 plus. And then if we want to focus on something that's excellent, we want something 4 plus, because that's the highest number here. And 4 plus, of course, means for everyone. So that's how to do the bivariate calculations. And you'll see that I've left this very last question that we asked here, in-app purchases and game ratings, for you to figure out.